If you're thinking about a move to Austin, let's talk about the actual cost of living, because I get that question all the time. How much does it cost to live in the city of Austin? And let's compare it to how much more or less it might cost than where you're coming from. So let's dive into some real world comparisons. If you're coming from LA, expect to save about 40% just by moving here. San Francisco, you're looking about double the cost to live there versus living here in Austin for the same lifestyle. Chicago and Miami folks, you're gonna save some money, but it's not gonna be as big of a gap. And a quick heads up, while we save money here in the state of Texas on income tax, our property taxes are often a little bit higher, so that's definitely something to look out for, and I'll explain a bit more about that later. So let's dive into the actual cost of a home here in Austin compared to other popular cities. The median home price right now in Austin's just ranked one of the #1 buyers markets in the country is about $400,000 to $450,000. You know, typically on a regular year that's closer to about $500,000, but it's still considerably lower when you compare it to places like LA, where the average home price is about $915,000. Or San Francisco, where you're looking about $1 million plus. And the same thing holds true for New York City. Seattle, you're looking at about $800,000. Miami, you're looking at about $600,000. And Chicago, you're looking at about $310,000, but there's other things that you have to do day to day that are more expensive there. So in most places, housing is where you're gonna feel the biggest impact so far as savings go. You know, if you're used to paying $4,000 a month in rent in Los Angeles or Seattle, you're definitely gonna find a little bit of relief here in Austin. Now, transparently, over the past decade or so, Austin home values have considerably gone up, but you still get way more home for your dollar here in Austin. And that especially makes sense in the Austin suburbs or even some of the neighborhoods on the outskirts of the city, where you're definitely gonna get a lot more space so far as a lot size for your money. So whether you're in the planning phases or you're ready to start packing your boxes, I know this seems weird, but I make these videos so that I can actually connect with and talk to people just like you that are considering making a move to Austin and want to make sure it's a smooth transition, right? That's what I do day in and day out. So don't hesitate to reach out. You can call, text me, or email me. So the next thing I want to talk about is your day-to-day expenses, right? Your gas, your utilities, your groceries. When it comes to groceries in New York or Seattle, you're definitely going to see a cheaper price here in Austin, and it's going to be about on par for places like Miami. Pro tip when it comes to groceries, H-E-B is the absolute best. You're gonna fall in love with it when you get here. But H-E-B is our main grocery store here in Austin. I mean, they've got great prices, they've got a great selection. They've even got beer on tap at some locations. They've got Texas barbecue. Sometimes they have a drive-through. You can get your food to go. You can sit there and have a beer. It's just absolutely fantastic. That's where me and my family do all of our shopping, no question. Gas prices, we know, fluctuate quite a bit across the country, but here in Austin right now, you're looking at about $3 a gallon versus about $4.50 to $6 a gallon in LA or New York. So that's definitely a big bonus because Austin is a driving city. You know, there are walkable pockets, but overall, Austin's spread out. It has a lot to offer, from the Texas Hill Country out to the lake, to the downtown area, to the Domain up north. So you're gonna want a car, you're gonna do some driving if you live here in the city of Austin. So the cheaper the gas, the better. And then on to utilities. For a 2,000 square foot home, you're looking at about $170 to $270 per month, just depending on things that you have, the efficiency of your home. But one thing to keep in mind is that summers do get hot here, so your bill during the summertime might be a lot higher because you're constantly running the AC, and it might kind of go down quite a bit during the wintertime. Me and my family decided to put in a pool, and yeah, the utility bill adds up because of the pump running and the water usage, but it was 100% worth it, at least for us, to be able to have a way to beat that Texas heat. So now I want to jump into something that's a little bit more exciting, right? Your expenses for things like food, entertainment, nightlife, and just your general lifestyle so that you can take advantage and budget for everything Austin has to offer. When it comes to going out to eat, for lunch, you're looking at spending about $15 to $20. And for dinner, you know, there's a lot of options here in Austin. You can spend anywhere from about $30 up to, you know, over $100 a plate. But the average for dinner is about $25 to $40. Compare that to San Francisco or New York City, you're probably gonna be spending about 20 to 30% more per meal, which is awesome, again, because Austin has fantastic restaurants and a great food scene. So you're gonna be able to have the same kind of foodie experience, but without the high price tag. So while we're on the subject of food, I'm a local Austin native. I've been here my whole life. And people could argue about the food scene here in Austin and who has the best this or that forever, so don't worry about doing that in the comments. But I'd like to give you a few of my favorite places. We'll break it into categories, right? Tacos is Puanto's Tacos, barbecue is Leroy and Lewis, with a close runner-up of Franklin's and Interstellar Barbecue, and I've got a soft spot in my heart for the Salt Lick because I grew up out in Dripping Springs in the Texas Hill Country. I think Casino El Camino has one of the absolute best burgers in the state, and don't come at me in the comments for my selection of barbecue because that could be a never-ending battle online here in Austin. So the next on the list is entertainment, which is what Austin's really known for. We already kind of talked about the price of going out to dinner for date night, things like that. But the cool part about Austin is you can kind of spend as much or as little as you want to. There's always going to be free or really cheap concerts at music venues all over town. There's even free music festivals here. Blues on the Green. I'm at Zilker Park right now. They have Blues on the Green here. That's absolutely free to get into, and it's an absolute blast. So you're gonna save money on nightlife and just going out. Margaritas run you about $8 at a normal establishment. There's no cover at a lot of shows, and there's even BYOB food truck parks and venues. So you don't have to spend a fortune to have a great time here in Austin. By the way, if you want a leg up on moving here and a bit of a head start that's gonna save you a lot of headaches down the road, text the word RELO to the number on the screen, or you can scan the QR code. I'll send you a copy of my Austin Relocation Guide. And pro tip, it's also got a lot of restaurant and music venue suggestions, things for entertainment. So whenever you come to the city of Austin to scout, before you relocate here, you'll have a lot of good options and places to go, tips from a local, so to say. So on to something not as fun to talk about, which is the taxes, right? So in the city of Austin and the state of Texas as a whole, you don't have a state income tax. What you do have is a little bit higher property taxes. Old Uncle Sam knows how to balance the scales, so to say. So even though we don't have that state income tax, our property taxes are a little bit higher than places that do have a state income tax. But that's an instant raise if you're on salary, if you're coming from a place like LA or New York City. At the end of the day, property taxes here in the greater Austin area hover around 2%. Now that can vary a bit depending on where you land. Some of the new build communities that are master planned that still have infrastructure being spent, those taxes can run a little bit higher. So in short, you're gonna feel like you got a little bit of a raise when it comes to your paycheck, but your monthly mortgage payment's gonna be a little bit higher because they're keeping those extra taxes in the escrow account. Insurance is another thing to consider. That's why I always make sure that me and my clients discuss this with a lender so we can see a bigger picture, right? We wanna include not just the monthly mortgage payment and how much the house costs, but how much the insurance is going to be, how much the taxes are going to be. We can even factor in things like utilities. So again, you get that bird's eye view and you're never caught off guard. So what everybody really wants to know, and it depends on where you're coming from, but is it still worth it to move to the city of Austin so far as a cost perspective? I live here, so I obviously think yes, but I think it could be a good fit for you. If you're coming from one of those higher cost cities, you want more space, you want more sunshine, and you want more of a entertainment first and casual lifestyle. And especially if you really want an outdoor lifestyle, you enjoy live music, going out, enjoying the nightlife, and an extremely strong food scene. Now, it might not be for you if you're looking for a city where everywhere seems walkable, you hate driving, or you can't handle the heat. That said, Austin is potentially going to become a lot more walker-friendly, so to say, once Project Connect is complete, which should happen sometime in the 2030s. And the bonus is there's always a way to beat the Texas heat, whether it be going to a neighborhood pool, there's lakes every direction you look, we've got green belts, we've got Barton Springs, we've definitely got a way to adapt to that heat, so to say. So I always walk my clients through this together via Zoom or in person, but if you'd like to see kind of a comparison on exactly where you're coming from compared to Austin, I highly recommend going up on NerdWallet, nerdwallet.com, or just Google it. And you can actually put in, exactly where it is you're coming from and the city of Austin, and it'll give you a side-by-side comparison of expenses. I think last time I checked, it even gives you the expense in one place to another for a Domino's pizza and a 6-pack of Heineken. So it really, really gives you a good bird's eye view of knowing what the expenses are gonna be day to day and month to month. Plus, if you want to save even more money, there's a little bit of a work with Justin life hack. I've got a connection at a great insurance brokerage here in Texas, and because they have so many different options, they can pretty much run every scenario. They've helped my clients, my friends, my family, my neighbors save thousands of dollars every year just on their insurance bill. And if you want more information, you want to stay in the know, I release new videos every single week. Click that subscribe button, and I'll see you next week. Until then.